Hi there, in this video we're going to be talking about income tax. So the first thing we need to do is just kind of define some words that we're going to be using. You know that when you go get a job, you expect to be paid for that. Well, there are a couple of ways you can describe that. When you're paid for your labor or for the work that you do or for the services you provide to someone, those are called your wages. Or they might say that that's your salary. All right, well, another word that means payment for labor or for work is also called income. It's the money you make from your job, but it also has another meaning. It can mean money that you earn from an investment as well. All right, so wages and salary are just the money you earn from your job. Income could be money you earn from going to work and doing what you're supposed to do, but you might also get income from something like where you put your money in and then you get money back. That's also called income. So here's an example. If you buy a house for $80,000 and then you turn around and sell it for $100,000, you just made $20,000 from your investment. All right, so that would be called income. And income is always taxed, all right? So that's what we want to be able to calculate by the end of this video is how do we determine income tax, right? So income tax is the money, like all taxes, that you pay the government based on the income you earn. So either from your job, which is the most common, or from the income you earn from an investment, all right? So the ones we're going to be looking at mostly are just from your job. They have different names. Sometimes they call it income tax. Sometimes they have different names. They might call it federal withholding tax. That's a type of income tax. And this is usually taken out of a person's wages before they're given a paycheck. So the end of the week or the end of the month when you're about to get paid, they don't give you everything you earned, all right, because they take out the income tax. And there are other taxes you're going to see in just a minute that can be withheld, which just means subtract it from your paycheck, and they have different names too. They may be called Social Security or Medicare, and there's others as well. All right, so we're going to look at a paycheck so you can kind of see what we're talking about. This is Jane Smith. She's being paid for the period of May 2017 to May 15th, 2017. So this is a 2-week period. So we just want to answer some questions based on her paycheck. All right, so it asks us, what is her gross pay, right? Which sounds kind of funny to call it gross pay. It doesn't mean it's ugly or anything like that. But if we go over here and look at gross pay over here, you can see that there's actually two amounts. One of them is $180, but that's underneath this period. And then under here, the YTD stands for year to date, which is $540. So the year to date is telling us what she's made for the entire year so far. For just this 2-week period, she made $180. All right, so we want to put that down, $180. And these are the wages she earns before her taxes. Okay, so the main thing about gross pay is it's what you earn before they take any taxes out. All right, so then we want to compare that to the net pay. The net pay is different. Net pay, if you look over here, okay, net pay is this amount right here, $151.01. So we want to write this down. Okay, it's the wages you're paid after your taxes. So something happened to cause what she earned to go from $180 to $151.01, right? So we want to know what happened between there. How did they figure out what that amount would be? All right, so I was going to highlight these so you could see them. All right, so we have gross pay right here. The one we're looking at is the $180. That's what she's paid. The net pay is over here. It's $151.01, and you can see that this is the actual check she got, and so that is going to match her net pay. So this is kind of the stub, check stub, paycheck stub. All right, and so the next question we're asked is how much was withheld for federal income taxes? So if we look back at here, you can see that there are several things listed. There's a federal income tax, a state income tax, Medicare, FICA, SDI, right? And so some of these are taken out and some of these aren't. So not every state has a state income tax. She lives in a state with that one, but she does have a federal income tax. All right, so we want to look at that, and it looks again like you have an amount for this period, this 2-week period, and you also have an amount for the year. This is how much she's taken out over the year, or the government has taken out since she started the job this year. All right, so I think that's $1,360 is her federal income tax. And you can see that that was not the only tax withheld or subtracted, but it's the one they asked us to find. All right, and so then she's got these others. And then the last question they ask is, how many hours of work was Jane paid for? So again, if we come back over here and figure out hours over here, says she worked 20 hours. And this rate right here, what do you think that means? That's the amount of money she makes per hour. So if she worked 20 hours and she gets $9 an hour, then 20 times 9 is equal to 180. That's where the gross pay came from. And then the net pay is what she actually gets to take home with her, and that is her gross pay minus any taxes they had to take out, right? This down here, other deductions, this could be for like 401ks, like a retirement type thing. If she's in a union, she might have to pay for that. Any kind of benefit, like if she had health care or something, she wanted deducted. Those can also be removed before she gets a net pay. She didn't have any of those. All right, so how do we find this income tax we're talking about? Well, to calculate it, it's very similar to what we've already done. You want to change the percent to a decimal, and then multiply. So you'd be multiplying the decimal to a times whatever her wage was or income was. Again, percent is, there's going to be a percent of the tax, so like 12% or something like that. And then the last thing, because we're working with money, is you want to round it to the nearest cent. So let's look at this first one. We want to calculate a 15% income tax on wages of $3,200. All right. So our first step is to change the decimal to, change the percent to a decimal. So if I move it 2 places, this becomes 0.15. And then I need to multiply times her income. So times 3,200. So 5 times 0 is 0, 0 again, 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. I start my second row with a 0, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 3 is 3. And then if I add these up, I get 48000. All right, because I have 2 decimal places here, then I know my answer also needs to have 2 decimal places. So if I move it over 2 places, then I end up with $480. All right, and because this is already set up sort of like money, 480, there was not any extra past the hundreds place, then I don't have to round in this one. And what this means is she earned $3,200. That's not what she gets to keep. They're going to take out at least $480 in taxes. Okay. All right. So number 2, we're finding a 5.5% income tax on $255. So our first step is to change the percent to a decimal. So I'm going to move this over 2 places. So I'm going to have to add a 0 to make it 0.055. Then I'm going to multiply, this time times 255. So 5 times 5 is 25, 5 times 5 is 25, plus 2 is 27, 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. I'm going to start with a 0, 5 times 5 is 25, carry 2, 5 times 5 is 25, plus 2 is 27, carry the 2, 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. And then I need to multiply by the 0, but that's just going to give me a row of zeros, so I'm just going to skip that part and add these up. So I get 5, 12, 10, 4, and 1. All right, and then I want to check my decimal place. So I have 1, 2, 3 decimal places in my problem, so I need to have 3 in my solution. 1, 2, 3. All right, so that puts the decimal between the 4 and the 0. So this looks like $14 and 0.025 cents. Okay, well, we know that cents doesn't go to the thousandths place. So this is one of those cases where you have to round. We want to round to the nearest hundredth, so we're going to look at the thousandths place. If this number, if you remember how to round, is 5 or bigger than that, adds 1 to the number in front of it. So since this is 5, it's going to round up to 14.03. And what this means is she made $255, but she's going to have to pay of that. They're going to have to take out $14.03 for the government for her to pay her taxes. Okay. All right. And then the third one, Felicia worked 3 months at the library and earned $4,500. She must pay a total of 12% in taxes. What is her net pay? All right, so this time they're not asking us just to find the tax. They want to know how much her net pay, remember net pay is after taxes, so it's what does she get to bring home after she pays her taxes. All right, but before we can do that, we have to figure out how much her tax is. So we're going to change our percent to a decimal, so move it 2 places. That's going to be 0.12, and I'm going to multiply it times the income times whatever she made, 4,500. So 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 5 is 10, carry 1, 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. I'm going to start my second row with a 0. 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 4 is 4. All right, when I add these up, 0, 0, 14, carry 1, 5. All right, again, check your decimal place. There's 2 decimal places here, so I'm going to have 2 decimal places here. So this is $540, but what is that amount? That's actually her income tax. Okay, which is not what they're asking this time. They're asking for the net pay. So the net pay is what she actually takes home with her. So now we're going to have to subtract from what she made originally, $4,500 minus $540. That's 0. I have to borrow. 10 minus 4 is 6. Borrow. 14 minus 5 is 9, and 3. All right, so $3,960. All right, is what her net pay is. This is what she actually gets to take home with her. And notice, I didn't really need the 3 months in this problem because it's just a percent of what she made, and so the time didn't really affect the problem. So just look out for that. Sometimes they give you extra information in those word problems. This is one of those cases. All right, to sum it up, to find income tax, it's a tax. It's what you give the government based on what you earn. So either from a job or from an investment. To do that, to find it, you change your percent to a decimal, multiply, and then round because it's money. All right, see you soon.